friends, I don't think you need to be taught. You're already here in school. No, my friends, I believe I'm going to share these stories to incite, to ignite in you the desire to tell your stories about design. Because I believe we need to start sharing them so that we can coalesce a greater story. Because I believe the greatest story of design is the one that has yet to be told, my friends. Do you hear me? Yeah. That's right. Now, brothers and sisters, you may not realize it by looking at the magnanimous creature that stands here before you, hair, coat, bowler tie. But I was once like you. I could feel your pain, my friends. I was once like you, a student. And in my heart, even then, I could feel it burning like a fire, like a little star, the power of great design. And do you know, my friends, I knew I had it. You know how I knew? I said, do you know how I knew, friends? We're going to get the hang of this together. I knew, my friends, because I'd be in the studio late at night. I'd be there early in the morning. I was there all the time. I think you know how that is. Now, my friends, I would gather all the other designers around me and I'd sketch a little doodle on a napkin and I would say, do you see the vision, brother? Do you see the vision, sister? And guess what? Every time the other designers, young like me, fire burning in their hearts like me, and they'd say, yes, Brother Shane, I see it. I see the vision of tomorrow in that napkin sketch. And I knew I had it. I could feel it in my heart. Just, oh man, I could feel it. And so, with that feeling, with that emotion, with that fire, my friends, I began to channel it. And I gave myself one challenge. And do you know what that challenge was? What was it? Thank you very much. That challenge was something small I could ask myself. To change the world with the power of great design. Do you hear me? Yeah. Yes, you do. To change the world with the power of great design. And so I set out, after I'd graduated, with my napkin sketch and my fire in my heart, and that one challenge for myself, change the world with the power of great design. And my friends, I tell you tonight, I did not have a map. No, maps are for sissies that don't have fire, that don't have vision. That's right, my friends, I had something better than a map. I had a vision of where we were going. That's right, my friends. And so I set out along my way, looking for generous individuals that I could begin to share my story with, coalesce it into a greater story of the power of great design. And it was not long because the fire inside me was behind my eyes, my friend, and everyone could see it. And it wasn't long until I met a young CEO. Whoa, sitting out on my way there. There's my CEO right there. Look how inspired he is. Look how inspired he is. Now this young CEO, he came to me and he said, Brother Shane. I said, yes, brother. He said, I can see the fire of great design in your eyes. And I said, thank you, brother. I twinkle. I gleam. And he said, Brother Shane, I am the CEO of a company that makes rolling staircases for warehouses and such. And I want you to show me the future of my company. And I said, Brother, I believe in this. Yes, brother, I believe in the power of design. And brother, we're going to make some rolling staircases. I will do say. And you know what? I went out there and I was going to design some rolling staircases, but I had a few questions for him first because it's kind of suspicious. There he was in my path, seeing the fire of great design behind my eyes, and yet not being a designer as such, as you can tell from the tie and bad haircut. And what did I ask him? I said, Brother, how do you know about the great power of design, seeing as you own a mid-sized company? And he came to me and he said, Brother Shane, I read the periodicals. I see Fortune 500 CEOs, Fortune 50 CEOs even, talking about the power of great design. And I said, yes, brother, you do see it in my eyes. I see you reading the periodicals. I knew this man was hip, ready to go. And so what did I do? I got two things from him as a client that I desperately love as a designer, and you will too. And you know what those two things were? Money up front, and then he walked away for a few weeks. Yeah, hallelujah, that's right. And what did I do? I began to ideate in a giant room all kinds of things that rolling staircases could become. Ones that fold up, ones on treads, ones on tracks, elevators. Wouldn't that be great? Warehouses that went up and down, robotic arms that got the boxes for you in warehouses. That's right, my brothers and sisters. I started to ideate what the future of rolling staircases was. And I brought it back to him. I brought him in that room, and I said, "Behold, brother, the power of great design." And he looked around, and he started to smile, and he said, "Brother Shane, I look at all this ideation. I don't even know where it comes from. I don't even understand how you think. But look at all this." And then he said something that really crushed me. He said, "You know, I don't have it in my business plan to make anything other than a rolling staircase made out of steel pipes and such." And with that, my friends, he took the work, and we had to part ways. And my friends, I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my heart. I started to wonder, did the power of great design actually touch him and feel him? Was he able to warm himself with a fire inside my heart? Not really. I think he toasted a marshmallow and it was delicious, and that's all we had time for. So my friends, I did not wait long wallowing in the valley of my own darkness, wondering about the power of great design. No, I picked myself right back up by the hair, my nice mullet, and I moved along. And it wasn't long, my friends, with all the power of great design inside me, till I found another CEO, even more inspired than the first. You will appreciate this pixelated image, because if it was clear, you might gag a little. Looks like he got dressed in the dark. Now, my friends, this CEO came to me, and he too had read the periodicals. He too saw the fire in my eyes, and he said to me, "Brother Shane, I'm the CEO of a small company that makes software interfaces for doctors and nurses." And I said, "Yes, brother." And he said, "I want you to ideate the new interface for a cancer research software we have. It's going to be used on a little palm-sized device by nurses and doctors." And I said, "Yes, brother, I will do so." And so what did I do? I started working away. And this time I got halfway through the room of ideating all kinds of storyboards on how this interface might work. And I thought to myself, well, I've never had this illness. Maybe I should go talk to people that are around it. So I went out. And I got empathetic, my friends. I took that fire and I began to share it around. I said, "Doctors, nurses, even patients and their families, talk to me about this illness. Talk to me about how we're going to help you." And they started talking. And after talking to them, I went back and I started ideating all new ideas on how this interface could work. And I brought that gentleman back in the room, and I showed him all the ideation I had on his cancer research software. And he got in the middle of the room, and he looked around, and I was so proud, and he got angry. And I said, "Whoa, brother, I'm giving you the gift of the power of design here. I mean, let's hold on. You know what I mean? Let's hold on." And he said, "What the hell have you been doing, Shane?" And I said, "Brother, I've been busy at work ideating." And he said, "I realize that. But I hear you've been talking to doctors and nurses. And all you needed to do was go talk to my Java engineer." Well, wait a second. I'm going to say that again. Let's all be real quiet. See if you can hear it. All I needed you to do was go talk to my Java engineer. Did you hear it at the end there? Sounds like an elephant sitting on a walnut. That's my heart breaking. That's my heart breaking, friends, because all I needed to do to develop the future was go talk to all the guys using the same parts that built the past. That's what he's telling me. And I tell you, brothers and sisters, he and I had to part ways too. But I learned something as I started to wallow in the valley of my own darkness, wondering how the power of design will begin to touch all these young CEOs and business people. Because I knew the power was in me. Why couldn't they truly see it? Why couldn't they feel it, my friends? And what did I think? Well, I started to think about, well, how do I know I have this? How do I know I have this power? And I said, well, self, yes, self. Remember when you was young and you would pull people around you and draw on napkins and such, and they would see the power of design. I knew I had it. I showed it to all those other designers. I mean, why didn't all these business people... Wait a second. Hold on one second. Let me carry the 4, move the 2. Oh, wait a second. Because I was talking to designers. This was a totally different audience. And what I learned from that is that designers are a different species, my friends. Designers are... What are y'all staring at? Oh, wait a second. I said designers are a different species. That just looks like the same species with a different color, right? Am I focusing right? Does that look like a different species? No, it doesn't. There we go. That's a little bit better. Designers are a different species, my friend. A kind that most business people haven't come up against. Most of the time in business schools, it's a chapter in the book. Here's when you use designers at the end of the process. It's a decoration station, my friends. Designers are a different species. And I don't know about you, but if I was out hunting and I came up against a bunny with tiger stripes, I'm probably going to run, or be myself. But I'll tell you what, brothers and sisters, that's not what business does. Business will take design and they'll say, hey, we're going to give you a nice studio across town away from where all the adults meet. That's right, because if you look like an alien, they want to put you in a little box. They're going to put you in a little box because you feel foreign to them. Design is scary stuff, and it costs some money. And that begins to scare people who are risk averse, my friends, because all of us look like risk. But designers, we don't like to be caught in a little box. No, we like to fly. We like to be free. We like to explore. And it was on one of these little trips where I was being a sojourner into the power of great design. I started looking at the map. And the answer hit me square like a ton of bricks. Boom! There it was. China. You know what the children in China speak? Chinese, thank you very much. You get a gold star for participation, you really do. Chinese or Mandarin. And do you know why they speak this language? Anyone? It's not to pass a test. It's not just to ask their mom for another nutty buddy. No, my friends, they talk Chinese because that's what all the other Chinese children speak. They talk it because it forms a bond with their social group. It makes them feel appreciated. It makes them feel a part of something. And I realized if I was going to win over the business folks, if I was going to win over the technologists, I had to learn to marry the content of what designers want to say with business ease. I had to say it in businessese because I was speaking designerese. I'm drawing on napkins. I'm out shooting at the cuff. I'm putting up a sketchbook. I'm ideating in giant rooms. People have never seen this before. It's scary stuff. And I thought, I need to learn how to marry design content with business ease. That's right. And to confirm this for myself, I started looking around. I wondered, I wonder if there's another group of individuals that have done this before, had to learn how to speak business ease. And I got a question for you. You look like a smart young puck. What do you think lawyers did 100 years ago? You just take a guess. Shooting in the dark. I'll be real friendly.
Practice law.
Practice law, which probably look like what? They march into a courtroom. There they are. They march into a courtroom. They put down their briefcase. They talk to the judge. They argue to him, and they say to the jury, hey, jury, we're not going to protect this guy. We're going to do this thing. Boom. They close their briefcase and they leave. Where did they hang out? Where did all that take place? In a courthouse. Another gold star. In a courthouse. And then guess what? Somewhere around, 50, 70 years ago, lawyers took their law content and started speaking businessese. What do lawyers do now? Anything they damn well please. Probably not a CEO alive doesn't have his lawyer on speed dial, if not in the office next to him. So there are groups out there that have done this before, and we can use them as case studies, good or bad. But they are there, my friends. And as we start telling our stories of great design, we need to take all those business folks, all those technologists along with us. Because we're not going to get there alone. Because if we do, we didn't win. We didn't do anything. My friends, trying to talk to a room full of business folks without knowing businessese, it's like talking to a brick wall. But you know what? I'm going to assume it's a smart group here, and that each one of you could learn how to do this. But once you do you know what's really important? First thing in any relationship, hey, how you doing? My name is the Reverend Shane McCraig. I am lecturing to you right now. I'm pleased to meet you. I just introduced myself to him in case you couldn't tell. And with that, I say, we need to know who we are. Because right now, design is a confusing word. So I say, design, know thyself. That's right. Design, know thyself. And why do I say such a thing? Well, it's funny you should ask. Because I flew here tonight. I don't normally just live here like this. You know what I mean? I live in a nice part, you know what I mean? I flew here tonight. And I was on my airplane. And you know what? I looked to my left on the airplane, and there were some business people. Then I looked to my right, and there were some business people. And then I looked in front of me and behind me, and there were some business people. The whole plane full of business people. And then I looked right in front of me. I found a magazine Where is it here? Oh, there it is. Right over here. I found my magazine. You know, because when I'm on a plane, I like to peruse my Sky Mall. You know, they got all kinds of fabulous inventions in here. Hair growth formula. It's wonderful. So I was perusing my Sky Mall. What did I find? Toscano Design. I'll put an image up on the screen just so you can see it real big. Design Toscano. There it is. All these business folks reading about design. Right there. There it is. That's exposure design right there, people. Design Toscano. So if you want to go make garden gnomes and such, have at it. That is what you guys do here, right? Now, who like me calls her mama once a week? And when you say, Mama, I practice industrial design, does she go, oh, that's fantastic. I know absolutely what that is. Or is your mom like my mom? Real sweet, real learned, but still goes, so are you going to make some factories? Because no one knows what it means. My friends, to test this out, I had a client once. And for that client, we were designing a park, and I was charged with designing all the park lamps and benches. And I went to drop off my drawings one Friday afternoon, and I went into that engineering department, and I said, well, here are the drawings, and they appreciated them. I said, now, brothers and sisters, went around the room, I said, to each one of them, what is it that you do? And each one of them looked at me. First of all, CEO, right there in the middle, he looked at me, he said, well, Brother Shane, I like to think of myself as a designer. And I said, oh, okay, you know, he's paying me, I'm not going to argue. Well, then I talked to their chief marketing expert, that's a female there on the side. She said, but Brother Shane, I like to think of myself as a designer. And I was, where are these people in school? My school was a bit hipper than that. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll go around them. Maybe I'll go see someone. There he is, CAD engineer. Hey, sir, what do you do? Guess what he told me? I'm a designer. Well, hey, this must work in bars or something. Hey, I'm a designer. How you doing? You know what I mean? Because if your hair don't work, you got the designer thing going for you too. Double whammy. But my friends, I'll tell you what. I'd had it enough. Because then I went to the landscaper. The guy who's actually put the trees in the ground around the Toscano design stuff. And I said to him, what do you do? And he said to me, Brother Shane, I'm a designer. I'm a designer. And I say to you, brothers and sisters, nobody has any clue what you do outside this room. It's our job to tell the story of great design. Because people have been using this word so ubiquitously, it means nothing at all. Nothing at all. And people will begin seeing it whatever they please. And it may not always work in our favor. But the people that have been talking about being designers for the past 100 years or so, most of them very technical people, people that measure things in numbers, things that quantify. And you know what? They talk about design in features and functions. Features and functions. That's why your Cadillac can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. They didn't tell you why it needs to do that. They just said it can. That's why you have Corinthian leather. Because it's a feature. It's a feature. Ooh, I got Corinthian leather. And somehow we feel validated. There it is. Design must like me. I have Corinthian leather. Well, let's play that game, right? What if I told you? That's right. I know you just put a peanut or something in your mouth, but I'm going to talk right to you. What if I told you, brother, that outside this room, out in one of the parking lots, I got a shiny new brand name automobile with more horsepower than you can imagine. I'll sell it to you for like $100. You gonna want it? I'm telling you the features and functions here, people. Let's help him out. You gonna want it? Yeah, probably so. Well, there it is. I told you some features and functions, right? Let's be serious. Okay, I'm gonna role play a little bit. We're gonna get a little deeper into this. Okay, I'm little, I'm red, I got plenty of horsepower, an MP3 player, leather steering wheel, leather seat, maybe even a warmer on that thing, and my driver loves to take me out on weekends. What am I? Give it to me. Sports car. No, there I am. I told you all the features and functions. Why couldn't you guess what I am? And if I said to each one of you, I know your time with me is precious. You're probably going to want to go out to eat with me later on. And I said, let's go get some cold dead fish. You want to go? Talking to you about what it is. But if it looked like this, you might want to go. Well, that's the power of great design. It's the power. Same thing, different presentation. And if I said to each one of you, now, I know we got some Apple fanatics in the room, because I can hear it, I can hear it. If I said to you I had the next big iPod, iPhone, gadget, wizardry that, Steve Jobs is going to get up there and just talk all about, and I said I had it, It's super cool. It's got it. All the deities of Mount Olympus came down as MP3 files. You could fit them all in there and give them plenty of real estate. I'm going to say, you going to want it? Yeah. Hey! But you're lying to yourself because you don't. You want the way it makes you feel. You want the way it makes you feel. And why is that? Because people value relationships and not things. A little secret they didn't tell me in school. People value relationships, not things. All the things you design, all the things you develop, at their best, they enable wonderful relationship with people. Even if people use them alone, it's how they feel about themselves. You know what? Let's talk about relationships for a second. Because we're all designers. We need to know this. We need to be empathetic. You know one of the greatest things you can do in a relationship is? Anybody? Listen. What is it? Listen. I'm going to go one better. Can you stand up for just a second, brother? You're a guest like me. This is the wrong day to come. Look at that. A big old hug. That's right. That's right. Designers give the best hugs. Best thing in a relationship. You know what? Turn to the person next to you. Give them a hug. Someone help her out. She's in the middle. Go. I said turn and give them a hug. You will know. You will know designers give the best hugs. And they do in meeting rooms too. And they do in boardrooms too. Designers give the best hugs. And you know who needs a real good hug? You know who needs a real good, tight, warm, authentic hug? Our friends. Hey, that's real close. Our friends in marketing. It's the ones with the MBAs talking at the 60,000 foot level. They need a big hug. You need to bring them down. Hey, brother, I'm going to give you a big hug. Design gives the best hugs. And guess what? They need a hug, a nice, warm, empathetic hug from design because, as you can see, he's carrying the megaphone. He's pointing the way. Even in school, most people with MBAs are taught they get to drive the bus. And that's okay. Sometimes they're pretty good drivers. They've done pretty good at it in the last 100 years. And they can tell you everywhere to go, but they don't know where they're going. They can give you all the directions in the world. They can't tell you someplace good to go. And that's where we come in. We start painting that vision. You know who else needs a hug? And by the way, I will say this. Our marketing friends, they are sitting on a pile of money. So it's not for lack of trying, because they're doing a real good job right now, and this is the way the world operates. But my friends, that's what we're here to do. Start telling these stories about the power of design. You know who else needs a good hug? The power of design? Our friends in R&D. That's right. And it's not because you couldn't sit with them in a Mexican restaurant and they would take a plate of nachos and build a little satellite that could call the outer rings of Saturn. No, they can do that. They're real smart. You dream it, they'll make it. You dream it, they can make it. But you got to dream it. Because what they're good at doing is giving answers to things. And they love a good problem. But what we need to do is start asking really great questions. And that is a role of great design. That's a role of great designers. My friends, I say this. If marketing is the person pointing the way, the mouth of the operation, and R&D is the mind, well, what does that make design? I hear it. I hear it in your heart. There it is. Heart. Design, design, design. I heard it. I heard it from each one of you. I can hear it collectively. And what is it that the heart does? It is empathetic. It reaches out to people. It shows them a way to a vision of tomorrow that doesn't scare them, that they want to embrace, that brings them joy, that brings them delight, my friends. And it's a heart that allows us to play. That's right. We explore when we play. And it's those who play that shall inherit the earth. Look at them. Little designers right there. She's adorable. I just cry. I'd tear up every time. This is really beautiful. That's right, my friends. It's those who play that shall inherit the earth. And I hear you. I feel you. I know there's some pressure here. You know, there's a storm brewing out there. I can feel it in y'all. Little anxiety. You might not know what it is. Well, let me talk to you about what it is. It's not so much that people don't know what designers really are. It's that they don't even understand that they need you. And they're out there creating all kinds of wicked problems that they're trying to solve with the same issues that got them there in the first place. You know who's not doing that? Each one of you. You are like 1,000 points of light right here. I just see it right now. It's like I'm sitting under a big old moon in the summertime looking up at the sky. You guys are beautiful. You know what I mean? So, you know, the gift goes both ways, right? Gift goes both ways. That's right. There's a storm brewing. People need design and they don't even know it. They don't even know who we are or what we're about or what we're called. They don't have the right language to talk about us or talk about our issues. And they're out there trying to solve these wicked problems that will affect us all. They will affect us all. And I say our time's running short. But do I believe you are going to wallow in the valley of our darkness? No. No, brothers and sisters. I've seen it in your eyes tonight. I don't believe you're going to do that. No, brothers and sisters. I believe you're going to rise up because I feel it in your heart. I heard your heart. Design, design, design. I heard it. I heard it with my own ears. And brothers and sisters, I hear you. You say, Brother Shane, I'm going to get in front of a boardroom of cross-functional counterparts in some business. Well, look at they are, and we're in front. Oh, wait, you don't think they're inspired? Well, look at the building they work in. Pretty great, isn't it? Okay, well, let's go back to hey, I'm going to get in front of this cross-functional team, and I'm going to make them act like this. And then I'm going to get in front of that cross-functional team, and I'm going to have them take a great leap of faith in the power of design. And I'm going to get in front of that cross-functional team, and then they're going to run you over. Now, for those of you that may not have seen it, that is 99 and a 35. That is the speed of business currently. We're breaking it. We're breaking it. We're moving faster every day. You know, because it's faster, cheaper now. Let's go now. Where's your good idea? Now, give me one. Give me one. Give me a good idea, design. Come on. It's that fast, isn't it? 99 and a 35. Brothers and sisters, this doesn't worry me at all. Because I'm going to ask you something. Do you believe in the power of great design? That's what I thought. And then you see here, it says cue dramatic music. I'm going to cue some dramatic music for myself. Oh, yeah. I feel it. I feel it up here. That's right. Oh, there it is. There it is. Because design's multisensorial. You know what I mean? Multisensorial. It may not all be embedded in the presentation. I can go do it from this thing, but it's multisensorial. I'll make it work. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask you once again, do you believe in the power of design? Yeah. That is right. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Now, I once had a really great brother, and his name was Brother Gandhi. And Brother Gandhi and I were walking along one day, and Brother Gandhi said to me, Brother Shane, I said, yes, Brother Gandhi. He said, I feel the love, the passion, the fire inside of you. It's behind your eyes. And I said, yes, brother, it is. I know you can feel it. And all them young CEOs said it to you. All my buddies in school felt it. Brother, you see it. And he said, Brother Shane, if you have something important to say, you need to know a few things about this world. Because what's going to happen is you're going to go out there into a land where you don't speak the language. And you're going to learn how to speak it. But along the way, you're going to be preaching your vision the whole time. And at first, they're going to ignore you. That's right. You'll show them your vision, they're going to ignore you. You know why? Because they've never seen you before. You're no threat. You're no big deal. You're no big milkshake. But you know what, my friends? Sooner or later, you're going to start coalescing those stories because we're all going to share them just like I am right now. We're going to start talking about it. We're not going to talk about it with each other, but with business folks. And you know what? At that point, then they're going to laugh at you. Oh, when it hurts, it stings just a little. They're going to laugh at you. Your ideas are silly. They'll say things like, let's be realistic. Or, you know, give me the 80 for the 20. Let's look at it from a 30,000-foot point of view. That's what they're going to start talking about. They're going to try and lose you in numbers, but they're going to laugh at you. And guess what? You're going to keep sharing your stories. You are going to persevere because I feel it in your heart. And then, brothers and sisters, they're going to fight you. They're going to come at you with all they got. They're going to try and disprove design. They're going to try to take all your qualitative knowledge and turn it into quantitative numbers. They're going to show you charts and graphs. They're going to try and get you to talk numbers. Don't fall for it. Don't get into it. They're better at it than you. You're going to bring them to the good side. Bring them home. Bring them to the fire. There's enough here for everybody to toast their marshmallows. That's right, my friends. So first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. But the fourth one, Brother Gandhi told me, then you win. And you win when I win, when he wins, when she wins, when everybody at the table wins, which means marketing, finance, research, development, engineers, chemists, all of them. We're going together. Because if we don't, we're not going anywhere at all. And we didn't change anything at all. Brothers and sisters, I know I felt the power of design inside you. So I'm going to ask you something. I think it's time for a little test of faith. You ready? All right. I only heard one person. And I already gave him a hug, so I'm going to move back a little bit. Brother, what do you see on the screen?
Pyramid.
Pyramid of what? Silver. Oh, man, I'm going back here. Your gold star is going with me, brother. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, I've heard that one before. We'll never put the slide up because I got to tell you, does anybody else see that? I haven't seen it in a couple years. I keep looking at it, but I don't see it. All right, we're gonna test your faith. Can you please stand up for a second? You volunteered it, my friend. Now I want you to put one hand out to this audience because you're going to channel their love, power design, and then I want you to put the other hand up towards that screen. And on the count of three, we're going to help her out. We're going to see if we can get her to see what I'm saying. On the count of three, we're going to yell, "I believe." All right, I'll fill in the power design part. 1, 2, 3. I believe. There was. Now what do you see? A grocery list? A grocery list, that's right. The power of design. Power of design has saved you, I can already tell. Well, once you told me it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, now you see a grocery list. And that's probably because when people go out shopping, they don't go shopping for things. They go shopping for relationships. They go shopping for things that reflect the way they want to feel about themselves and the world they live in. Oh, let's try this again. Let's try this again. I'm going to put up something else. Put up something else. I'm going to this side of the room. Who do I got? That's right. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. All right. I'm feeling it right here. Stopping on you. What do you see up on screen?
A picture.
A picture was like kindergarten picture? Come on, give me more than this. Sitting here talking, waxing and waning about talking to people. Come on, give me something. What do you see? Can you give it to me? Come on. Dead Poet Society. Let's go.
Yeah.
Gears? Are they drawn like by a kindergartner? What do you got?
Diagrams, schematics.
Diagrams, schematics. I've heard at this time, obviously something the designer was working on, things I've heard before. I'm going to help her out a little bit. Could you stand up for just a second? Because you know the drill. Come on, they love you already. Come on, give her a round of applause. That's right. They love you. Okay, one hand out to them. Because if you don't do it, you're not going to channel the energy. You can't channel it just standing there being quiet. All right. 1, 2, 3. I believe. There it is. Where you once had a designer's hand in their renderings, you got people, business people, running to you, saying, "Help me show the vision of tomorrow." That's right. Power design is real strong in this room. That's right. My friends, I'm going to do this last one myself. It's going to take a lot of energy. What do we see? What do you see up there? What do you see up there on the screen? What is it? The future. Is it a bright future? Is it everyone together kind of future? What? Lonely. All right, we're going to do this one together. 1, 2, 3. I believe in the power of design. The vision of tomorrow. That's right. Because it's not going to be a lonely road. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sweating up here for you. It is a vision of where we can all go tomorrow. And I believe we only get there when we decide to take all our counterparts in business with us. We don't get there alone. And I know you won't, my friends, and neither will I, because we're going to share these stories and coalesce the greatest story that's ever been told about design, the one that has yet to be told. And with that, my friends, I say, may you have a bright tomorrow, and may the power of design be with you all. I am the Reverend Shane McCraig, and I believe you have been saved with the power of design. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you. Thank you very kindly. Now, Brother Colin here. Brother Colin told me that maybe there'd be some questions. Are there any questions for Reverend Shane here? What's your question? Business Ease. Well, that's a real great question. Well, it's like I said, you know, people have a confused idea of what design is. You know what I mean? They have a confused idea of what design is. And, you know, it comes from all kinds of different places. You know, it's real easy. You turn on the Home and Garden Network, and what do you find? You find rock and roll star designers on Home and Garden Network. You probably know a couple of them up there. Some of our local heroes. These are called rock star designers. And they exhibit something, and it's their own brand. But each one of us kind of has our own brand, right? So I'm not saying you should sell yourself out. I'm just saying you should learn what all the business lingo means, or at least what some of it means. There are all kinds of books out there that'll teach you some of the quick business lingo. You can read them in a weekend. They're real easy. But it's kind of intimidating when you start presenting new ideas in this business ease that you begin to learn. And you won't learn it always over a weekend. The kind of business needs that I have, comes with 3 or 4 years of deep, hard experience. You know what I mean? It's hard labor. But you get there. But just like these folks, each one of us has our own brand, and I say, start talking about that through business needs, because designers, here's one now, we have something. It's amazing. It's an energy. I like to call it the cool. And we radiate cool. There it is. Business people don't always understand, but they feel it. They're like, whoa, you wear cool glasses. Where'd you get those? Hey, you got a cool belt on. What's that about? You might know something about how to dress yourself. You saw the CEOs I showed earlier. Kind of scary. And you know what? It kind of baffles them. And I say, let's use it. Let's make it part of the story. Let's go with it. Because you know what? Not too long ago, there was a group of Harvard professors that all got together with their PhDs, and they said, you know, we're going to do a study. We're going to do a study of some whiz-bang toys. And they started looking at the Frisbee and the Pet Rock and the hula hoop and the Rubik's Cube, and they were trying to figure out, well, what's the same about all of them? What is the same about all of these things? That's what they did. They started wondering. You know what they found? They're fun. Very good. He obviously wasn't in the group, because all these PhDs couldn't figure it out with all their linear tools and thinking. They couldn't figure it out. They were like, well, maybe they're just all made of plastic. No. Every single one of them, any designer can tell you, causes a sense of joy. It's right there. They're toys. Whoopee! Every single one of them. That's what they do. Delight is one of the best things that you can give your audience through your design. Delight them. Always ask yourself, how does this make them feel? And if it's anything less than exuberant or really great, you're letting yourself down. I say ask more of yourself. Because delight doesn't always mean fun like happy delight. You know, delight can mean feeling better or saving your life. Delight can just mean performance. Delight can mean connectivity. And it's a lesson that we can begin to imbue on all of our counterparts as we tell this greater story. And I believe as we go, we will go together, my friends. Again, it is a journey. Now, does that answer your question? That was loaded, my friend. Loaded. Any other questions for Reverend Shane? Yeah.
When you say that heritage out there, the former believers who say that design homes provide incremental improvement and not real innovation.
Incremental improvement, not innovation. Well, I carry a lot of case studies with me. I carry a lot of different case studies with me where design has delivered revolutionary results instead of evolutionary results. There's a great book called Creating Breakthrough Products by Kagan and Vogel. That book talks a lot about a whole bunch of revolutionary pieces. If you look at something as simple as OXO, and who's not bored to death sometimes talking about OXO and what they did? OXO stopped in the corporate world all the time, and that's because it's a great example, a great case study that people can wrap their minds around about how design can be revolutionary, not just evolutionary. Asking ourselves a bigger question. And that's normally how I handle it. Question in the back?
Yeah, so many of us in this room are actually in an MBA program here at CCI.
Very good.
So we have bridged, we would argue that we have bridged this gap between design and business.
Yeah.
So what advice or words of wisdom would you give to us who have already...
Don't get ahead of yourself. Understand, don't get ahead of yourself. That would be my words of advice. Understand that your degree is foreign still. The very fact that people are saying we're including design. You know, when I ask a team, any cross-functional team, sometimes upwards of 30 people, and I ask them, let's talk about sustainability. You know how many different answers I get to what sustainability is? 40. 40, thank you. Because it's more than the people that are in the room. It's more than the people in the room. So trust me, you're going to come out there, and you're going to think, well, you have the MBA, and, you know, you must not be the bunny with the tiger stripes. Well, you aren't. You're the bunny with the polka dots. So now you're something within something. So it's still something we all need to tell. And I do believe that with your MBA degree, you are starting to bridge the gap here. So you might have some footing, but there's still going to be a lot of people out there. It's not so much you, it's your audience that needs to know. And that's why I say don't get ahead of yourself. Understand it's going to take them some time. It's going to take them some time to understand it and understand its value. Does that answer your question? Anyone else? All right. All right. So at this point, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna freeze. I'm gonna take a theater moment. I'm gonna remove the wig. Okay? There we go. You probably didn't know. All right. So, with that, I'm going to take the rest of the questions as Joel Kashuba, the designer from Procter & Gamble. So anyone want to ask any questions to Joel Kashuba? I don't normally dress like this. I know it's suave. Anyone?
How long did it take to lose the accent?
You just heard it. My girlfriend gets really irritated because I'm the kind of person that will walk around the house for like an hour. If I found a new accent, then she'll be like, "Oh God, shut up." I had another character I did at IDSA convention back in Phoenix, and he was after the Reverend. So I did the Reverend at an IDSA convention, and of course the Reverend's very hopeful and boastful, and he's all full of hope and power of design, yada yada yada. But it's all the magic. It's all like puffery, and so someone saw it, one of the fellows of IDSA, and they came to me and said, "Well, hey, we want to give you the main stage next year. We want you to be like the inspirational speaker on the opening night." And I said, "Well, okay." And they said, "Well, we want you to do the Reverend, so do a big design revival." And I thought, well, that's not really how the Reverend was born. I didn't tell him this. I just agreed because, I mean, hey, it's main stage, let's go, woo! And so, I thought to myself, well, the Reverend came out of frustration. This character came out of frustration. It came out of frustration with our field of design because we get out of school and we get taught like, hey, here's how to do a great rendering and here's how to do a great project. And no one ever tells you that no one else out there in the world knows what the hell they don't know what the hell you do. And you learn in like the first couple of years, you'll take some hard knocks at times, but hopefully you learn from them. And it's because you're going to learn that it's the way you think. If you can get other people thinking the way you think, if you can get everyone owning in their mind a sense of innovation through your eyes, you're starting to imbue that power of design that the Reverend's talking about. So I created another character for the second year because I didn't want to do the Reverend. If someone asked me to do something, then immediately I don't do it. But that's too easy. So I thought, well, maybe there's another character where the Reverend's all like, fluff and religion, and maybe the other character will be a man of science. So I created the Dr. James Manchester Waterhausen III, design therapist, specializing in mass illusions and the effect of group thinking on the individual creative mind. And I went around the house talking that way for a week, and I thought she was going to leave. But it was really fun for me until that moment. Yeah. So, what's that? The UC system? What do you mean? Oh, the doctor? No, that was for the IDSA. That was for their national stage when we did it. What's that? Did you have a question?
Yeah, so Procter & Gamble is held up as this paragon example of design within corporate America.
Oh, okay.
Talk a little bit about the evolution of how it got that way and maybe even where it's going within a huge corporation. But could you do it in Jamaican accent?
Oh, I can't, man. I can't. They'll challenge me. All right. So P&G. Okay. Well, I got the P&G 6.5 years ago. What happened for me was I was trained as an architect. Then I went to school for industrial design after working as an architect for a while. Grad school industrial design. And then I had my own little freelance company for probably about 2 years. I did something that a lot of young folks do, and a lot of young folks don't even realize they do this. But I confused my energy for design with experience. I confused my energy with experience. And so I was really excited. This whole story is actually what happened to me. Like all these people are real, just changed faces, and then done in a character. But everything that I was talking about there is stuff I've actually been through. And so when I had my little LLC, I did have projects where I was being like the new business development person and the marketing person and doing the design work, and I was trying to do it all in a week, and it was like at a hectic pace. So lo and behold, after like a year and a half of this, P&G calls me up, and I totally had forgotten that my resume was like out there and had gotten to them because it was like almost a year earlier. That's how fast P&G moves, by the way, a year. And so they called, and they were like, hey, we'd love to interview you. And I thought to myself, well, I've never worked with like big giant mega company before. I've never worked with a Godzilla. I've always worked with these like small companies. And I love the intimacy of that. And I was really leery of a big company. And so I got in, the interview went, and I actually started interviewing them. And I interviewed them based on all the things that I had learned and all my like little failures along the way in my LLC. And they called me the very next day and said, hey, can you be here in 2 weeks? So there I was. 2 weeks later, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm in the Midwest, which I never thought I would live in. I grew up on the East Coast. I actually thought I'd be here. I thought I'd be in San Francisco. And they called me, and they made me just a really fantastic offer, and so I went. And when I first started, P&G was, the design group was 70 people. Let me give a little reference here. That's 70 people out of 150,000. 70 people out of that. To this day, we're only 300. We've grown to 300 globally. I can rove the halls for 2 and 3 weeks at a time and not see another designer. So, as you can tell from some of the stuff I'm exhibiting up here, you kind of have to be a one-person force. And you kind of got to be ready with like case studies and things to say and like, you know, teach people in a way that doesn't feel offensive and that you're not trying to like guide them. So with that in mind, when I started, design was not even a function. That's just about 6.5 years ago. And what I mean by a function is when you sit at a table in a meeting, you got marketing, you've got packaging and device development, you've got a chemist, you've got a fragrance engineer, you've got a finance person, a consumer market knowledge person, a products researcher. It goes on and on and on. And that's assuming only one of those shows up. Sometimes they come in force. And so what I quickly started to understand was, you know, design doesn't really have a seat at the table. And a year in, a woman named Claudia Kochka, who answered into this guy. This used to be our CEO. He changed out about 6 months ago. And he had hired in a woman named Claudia Kochka, and Claudia actually made us a function. So now we had clout. But after being a year in for myself, I had already started talking to all my R&D counterparts about design, but I did it in like small ways, like in their office, and I would tell them stories, and I would listen to what was going on in their day, and I would say, well, you know, say things like, you know, like, hey, what did you drive here today? What did you drive in? And they'd say, well, you know, I drove in a Toyota. And this would be a person that would say like, that, you know, design really didn't have any value. You know, some of the questions are back here. And I would say, well, what did you drive in? And they would say something like Toyota, or like really high end, or an Lexus. And I would say, well, you could have driven in like an old beat up Corolla. And they'd be like, no, I couldn't. Well, why not? No, it's totally different. I was like, exactly. Still get you from point A to point B, but it's a totally different experience. That's power design. And some of the examples I came up with, like where with the riding lawnmower, that was one I started utilizing. And so that was like the early work. But I won over some of the R&D community. So I was already in some of the meetings. I was already getting like some clout with people. So when design became a function, that was like having clout and friends. And then all of a sudden I had power. And I was like, whoa, let's use this for good. And so I started actually going to meetings as a designer and bringing these case studies with me. And what I started seeing was that when the business teams were solving a problem, they were using these really linear means. And I mean, some of these were really wicked issues. I mean, at that point, we were just starting to talk sustainability. And, you know, it would come out and they're like, well, how do we do a reduce, reuse, recycle program? And I was like, good grief, it's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. It's your whole supply chain that you got to look into. And I would start talking to the team about it. And what I realized was I started facilitating that team. And it was because I was okay to hold the table, but also I had the creative processes they need. And the first couple of meetings like that, to them, it looked like magic. I didn't know it because someone wrote it in a feedback form for me about a year later. But they were like, you know, when Jill started doing this, it was like magic. It was like we didn't know where he was coming from, but it was the solution we needed. And it's very inclusive. You got to include everyone on this journey. This whole thing about, you know, take everyone on the journey, I fully and firmly believe that. You've got to. It's really easy for designers to talk to designers. Designers can get a whole business team thinking about something. Let's take a brand that I've worked on before. Brand Pantene. Does anybody know how big Pantene is? How much money it makes in a year? It's about $4 billion. $4 billion. So guess what? If I can get this, you know where it's shipped? Everywhere. Everywhere. If I can get that one team thinking differently about Pantene, you have literally had an effect around the globe. One team meeting. So it's really, really important to take everyone along. If I just went in there and said, well, I'm the designer, and I had my beret and my cape, which I do keep one at my desk just for fun. But if I said, I'm the designer, I have my beret and my cape, and I said, here's your vision, and I walked away, and you know, learn how to execute it. No, they would, you know, it would look like a turd in a punch bowl. They wouldn't drink it. They'd just walk away. So instead, I don't do that. I actually sit down and I talk to my team about what is it that each of my team members is being rewarded for. And then I show them how design, if we go this route, can help them be rewarded even more deeply in exactly what they're being rewarded for and who they're being rewarded by. So that's sort of the story for myself and a lot of other designers in P&G. It is a totally different world now than when I started. I expect if I'm successful and my buddies are all successful doing what we're doing, it will be a totally different world 5 and 6 years from now. Again, And as we keep going, then we'll keep changing. But that's what I think success looks like, is that you embrace the change, and that is the constant. And as long as all the change is forward, excellent. Excellent. You had a question back here.
So what would you say to perhaps a more stereotypical design type that is like the black box, I will go deliver you your perfect solution and here you go?
I say the rendering I need is due on Monday. That's exactly what I say, because they wouldn't. There is space for all of the design types, and that is one type. And I have a deep and very immense respect for it. There are some designers that really never should talk to people. They really should just be in a studio sketching, because they have brilliant sketching hands, and it's a gift. And what I do a lot of times, so I started out doing the sketching for my company, and it was when I was finally invited to those meetings that I realized, gosh, it's the way I think. If I can give this to these people. So I joke now, and sometimes I do it as a reverend. I say I design hearts and minds. But I really design like all new processes now. Recently for the company, I was working with our consumer knowledge group, and I started inventing different processes for how we talk to consumers and how we learn from consumers. And I mean, it's like groundbreaking stuff for a company. It's funny because does anyone know how companies often do their research with consumers? It's like a two-way mirror. There's like people sitting at a white table, and there's a two-way mirror, and the whole team's behind that mirror. Because God forbid we actually talk to you and know your name. And so I started inventing research processes that it's not in that mirror. It's actually in her or his home. I mean, like a process based off of taking a walk around the block with your consumers so you know who the hell they are. It's really simple where you can find some of these solutions. But that's what I bring the teams to now. Normally after I've led the research, and the company is very good at learning. Once we've learned everything we need to learn, I write a design brief. I usually kick off the ideation, but that's normally when I would turn it over to a team of designers that are going to go and ideate on that problem, and then it's my job to go find the next problem in the next team. So tons of room for that too.
So just a quick follow-up then. Do you think that to get that sort of skill and knowledge and inclination to work the way you did or do you think it was necessary that you went through the like really formal design training and the sketching and the practice? Like all the
way? It wasn't necessary. Gosh, I've never thought of it that way, because I loved it. I loved design school. I thought design school was awesome. I mean, and I was actually in Colin's class today, and the students were talking to me, and they're like, yeah, we started with the issue of health. Like, that's where it started. And that's awesome. Like, I remember that, but like, that's not, like, now I get like a marketing person or a products researcher, they come to my desk and like, we're having trouble with people using our product 32 scrubs with a Mr. Clean spray, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is your wicked, it's like these like nailed problems, and you kind of got to level them back up. So I would actually say, now that I've said that out loud, so now that I've said that though, I actually think the training in design school is massively important, very simply because you do get to start at that level. And a lot of times what I'm doing is bringing my team back to that level. I'm bringing my team almost back to like a kindergarten state, where I go like, okay, here's an example. I had a marketing dude, like 6 months into the company. This marketing guy comes up to my desk, and he's all like, dude, it's like the classic like marketing guy. And I make a lot of fun of it, because there are a couple that still exist. Most of them are pretty cool. But this guy was like straight out of a movie. And like, imagine like bad guy from the 80s with like the sweater and like the coiffed hair. And he walks up, and he's got this like thing, and it looks like a prophylactic, but big. And he walks up, and he like tosses this thing across the table, and it goes whoosh, like right in front of me. And he's like, hey, design guy, you think you could pretty that up? And I was like, first of all, what are we selling? Where is King Kong? And then he throws me this like little monograph, and it's beautiful. Like, a graphic designer obviously touched this thing. I don't know how much the company must have paid a graphic designer to do this book. But the book was on this product line, and so essentially it's this large condom, and it's got an adhesive around the side, and it's for dogs. So if you live in a city, you put it under the butt, And when they go to the bathroom, it folds around and it drops like this little balloon. It's totally disgusting, I realize. And he says, "Can you pretty this up?" And anything's better than that. And he says this, and I'm doing my best to keep a straight face. He says, "Yeah, it started with Pampers. We were trying to do it for babies, but German moms didn't like it. I don't know why." He really said that. This was the guy in charge of the program. German moms didn't like it. I don't know why. Maybe because you're putting a condom on their baby's ass. Again, it's such a simple question. That's what I mean. You got to level them back up. It's got to be like kindergarten again. And sorry, I laughed too. When I went home, I laughed for a week. But that's really the level that a lot of this is. If you do your job right, and you do, like I was talking about, speaking big businesses, and some people are absolutely revolted by that. If you are that kind of designer, I still salute you. Maybe you actually belong more in an ideation firm, and that's great. There is a level of design, though, that's getting very strategic. I know you guys had IDEO here talking, and then you had some folks talking like design thinking. Tim Brown, yeah. This stuff is huge. It's huge because people in the business world are starving for great solutions and great answers. Starving. And you have them already. They are already in you. The way you think is already a solution. You need to know how to put that in language that they understand. Because the world needs you at large. Like literally, when we talk sustainability, the world needs you. I really want you there because, gosh, the things you guys are going to design are way more fun than the things that often go on because they don't have designers at the table. And beyond that, and I'll be really blunt about it, it also increases tremendously the value of design, meaning like the value to the business world, but also what you're worth. You know the whole lawyer example? They didn't get paid much when they were just talking in the courtrooms. They got paid, but they didn't get paid as much. Dude, lawyers make money out the wazoo. One of the reasons people don't respect design is because, you know, they're like, well, you know, it's a designer, pat on the head. But no, if you actually came, you have a serious degree, we're talking about designers with MBAs and things now, I mean, that's awesome. And if you can talk strategically and you show that value, it's amazing. It's amazing. But I think for all of those reasons, and pick whichever one you like, but I think for all those reasons, it dignifies our field the way it deserves to be. And that's where the Reverend says, you know, the great story of design is the one that's yet to be told. It really is. We're telling it now, we're starting to, but look, we're all in this together. We're not so far in age that we're not part of the same story. And I beg every one of you to pick some of it up. But like I said, the business-ese thing, I understand that totally freaks some people out, and they go, dude, that's not who I am. I want to design furniture. Great, go design it. Do that. But you also, at that point, you're still going to need to learn some so you can actually, you know, sell your work. Any other questions? Yeah.
Similar question, really.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like the value of some of the different school you did, and also your own LLC, like how you would rate, because you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the design thinking, but then you're also talking about the ability to communicate that design thinking or talk strategically, you just said.
Yep.
Where do you think of your degrees and of your experience you got the most value in, or which of it was best in terms of generating that ability to talk strategically, I guess is what if
Say the last part again. What was the last question?
Like I'm trying to ask if you, thinking about school versus life experience,
Yeah.
Where you would rate the different programs and life experience in your ability to talk strategically. Like how, if I want to go about learning that.
Okay. Life experience taught me how to build a car. My schooling taught me where the hell I was going. One without the other is worthless. It's worthless. I really feel like in schooling you have like right now, you guys have safety nets with each other. Each other. You learn from each other. You talk about this. You practice talking about design. I don't know. We were really fervent in the school I went to for design, where we'd be out at bars at like 2 in the morning, and we'd be having like arguments over like a Philippe Stark chair. Who does that? I mean, not people on dates. So we learned how to talk it. We were quick on our toes, like case studies like OXO. Like I knew those like the back of my hand. I just didn't realize how important they were to my business counterparts when I could talk them. But that's where it started, was in school. And I also started really developing what I felt was it's a very emotional but like passionate love of design and like wanting the best design. I mean, it's the kind of thing that like who doesn't, when you're washing dishes or you're in the shower, you come up with these like little whiz bang ideas. You're like, why do they do it this way? Like why doesn't bar soap have sunscreen in it? I don't know. Why doesn't it? Let's go find out. Let's go find out. That's what designers should do. We're trained to ask the questions, and that's what schooling does. What I didn't realize was the way I needed to phrase those questions, the way I needed to show teams that I was going to answer them, or lead them to answer them. That's what I learned the hard way. I had successes. Like my girlfriend will listen to like what I did in my LLC when I was younger, and she'll be like, "Oh, it sounds like you're really successful." And it's weird. I'm like, I can't look at it that way. To me, it's like this little series of failures. And it was funny. I was watching. I know I'm very bombastic the way I talk, but I was watching VH1 a couple of nights ago, and they had the lead singer of U2, Bono, on, and he was talking about how he looks at every album as a failure. And I was like, what a bonehead. What? I love U2. I was like, dude, I love him. I've seen him like 12 times in concert, but I was like, what a bonehead. But he did, because he's the artist. We always should be holding ourselves to that next best standard. School teaches you that. School teaches you those bigger questions. The business world, though, they will make you get savvy on how you talk it really quick. Some people have a hard time with that. Some people have a hard time with the business side, and they go, maybe I'm going to sell out if you're going to do that. But as long as what you're still talking about is design, in my book, you didn't sell out. You're still thinking of the greater good. You just put it in a different language. Does that answer your question? In like 20 or 40 points? What's next to you?
You mentioned a couple master's programs that have you
had experience with?
Or that you have some good opinion of or whatever.
A good opinion of? Well, I mean, here's something else you learn about business. It doesn't matter what the heck they're talking about. Everything is always positive and rosy. There's a reason for that. You aren't looking to bash anybody. But I will say this. I've had a ton of exposure to graduate programs. I travel a lot. A portion of my job is actually dealing with school collaboratives for P&G. So I've seen probably about almost every master's program in the nation for design at one point or another, whether it's like sitting down with them at a conference or actually going and visiting their school. There are some phenomenal master's programs. The question I would ask back to you is, what is it you want to learn? Because different ones will teach you different things. Like University of Cincinnati, if you want to learn straight up like how to draw and like be that industrial designer that can ideate quickly, it doesn't mean you can think up what to draw, but if someone says, I want by tomorrow morning 300 new kinds of tires for a car, those students can do it like that, and they're gorgeous. I will never draw as good as some of those students. With that in mind, there are other programs that teach really amazing business acumen in their design work. So it's a matter of what you're looking for.
It's a good balance of design thinking and
design thinking and skills.
I feel like a lot of those are either sort of on one.
Yeah, I mean, well, hanging out with Colin and folks, it sounds like you guys are starting to get into it really good here. I actually think you guys could be like one of the next really hot schools. I was telling Colin that earlier today. And there's a lot of things that make me believe that. We'll talk about that later. But I think this is probably a program to watch right here. I also think, you look at, there is a small business program starting at UC, University of Cincinnati. Pratt is looking at it. Parsons is looking at one. So I think those are pretty balanced. I'm thinking RISD, but the more I think about that, I think the other ones are a bit stronger right now. They're just on better footing. There's a lot to do with the faculty, too. You definitely know what your faculty is up to.
Having the opportunity to work with marketing, business, and then moreover into the chemists and people that are working in a lab, I'm wondering where you're seeing the language and the processes that you implement coming into their processes, this very strict culture, laboratory culture. Do you see kind of implementation of design methodology making inroads into that?
Yeah.
And could you kind of talk about what...
I will talk as much as I can, because a lot of the things that are really deep are recent in the last 2 years. Like I was saying, I've been working with a lot of my counterparts that are in charge of consumer research for our company, listening to the kinds of questions they ask consumers. I mean, a lot of them are really functional questions. If you looked at a roster of the questions, they'd bore you to tears. And so I started actually introducing them to more like the in-home stuff and the work around the work around asking how do you feel, really more about the emotional side. And a lot of my counterparts they love it. They were waiting for it. And once you ask those questions, you get different answers from the consumers. I'll share an example. When I was first with the company, we were interviewing a woman about doing her laundry. And the roster of questions, we sat in this woman's kitchen just outside our laundry room. And they were sitting there and they're asking her, tell me about laundry. Oh, laundry is so easy. Laundry is so easy. I just, I pour the Tide in and it works really well. Clothes come out, they smell great. I really don't have any problem with it. Well, whose laundry do you do? Well, I do my kids' laundry. And well, what kind of stains are on those? Well, grass stains, dirt stains, every once in a while some blood because it's kids. And so we go through this. And finally I chimed up at the end. I said, do you mind if we see where you do your laundry? Could you walk us through it, mime it? We get to her laundry room, and out of broken plates above her laundry, or her washing area, she has a mosaic she's built out of broken plates, and it says, "I hate doing laundry." I'm really glad we thought to ask. Good grief, how do we miss that? But you get totally different answers. If we said, how do you feel about doing laundry? She'd say, I hate this. And you'd say, well, why? And then she starts telling you why. Now you can design solutions that overcome the why, not just the what. Once you do that, everyone who's in charge of making something, at that point, works on something different than what they would have before. And so, physically what they're making in labs is totally different because we asked a different question. We wouldn't have asked that question without design on the team. And it's not just me. It's like all of my counterparts are doing very similar things. We're all inventing new processes. We're all taking our counterparts along. I mean, that's part of the job. And I mean, I've met some really brilliant people at doing it, and I learn a lot from them. And hopefully I teach some too. But like I said, it's a giant journey. But everyone in the chain should benefit. I said at the very beginning too, every time I sit at a table with multifunctional team, from the get-go, I ask every one of them, what do you get rewarded for? I say it that flat out, and I want to know. And they will tell me. Like an engineer will come to you and they'll say, I get rewarded for having patents. That means whatever innovation we come up with, that engineer wants a patent, and he gets rewarded with more money for that patent. Well, guess what? Get this guy some patents. Let's get a really great, to me, that becomes part of the design criteria. It also must get patents. Great. All of it, no matter what everyone gets rewarded for, you want to also find out what does the consumer get rewarded for. That's the heart. But all the attributes and the accoutrements of the thing, that's what the team's going to get rewarded for too. So I think the empathy doesn't just go for consumers, it goes for my team as well.
I'm curious, earlier you talked about the idea of the term design being presented. How would you describe or sum up the term design from your mother?
I don't anymore. I literally don't. I hug my mom. I love her. I could explain it 30 different ways from Tuesday, and she'd still be like, but it says industrial, not factory. She still would do it. Now, the more important question is, my business counterparts say they're designers. I don't look at it as a bad thing anymore. I know that their definition is what I would have considered in school totally wrong, but what is that doing? They already believe they're a designer, which means they're really eager to enroll in that design conversation with you. And guess what? Once you start schooling them in design, like oh yeah, we totally know about this. Okay, let's pull out the color wheel. We'll start talking the color wheel, and you'll start talking about hue and value and but they're lost. But these are MBAs, so they don't ever admit that they go, oh yeah, maybe you should do the handling of the design. Dead on. You sell it, I'll make it. Great, it's cool. That's what I do. To me, it's built in. It's great. I want them along for the ride. And frankly, when they've been along with you long enough, or any other designer, they usually start learning it. And there is no more awesome conversation than when your whole team knows design. It's only happened to me once, but the whole team starts talking about design and its value, and you're like, this team kicks ass. The best day you can have in a meeting is the one where if I wasn't here, everything that's important to me would still be talked about because it's in these people's minds. That's awesome. At that point, you've changed the room. It doesn't always happen. Trust me, there's many more meeting rooms that all of you could change if you wanted to. There's tons of them. But that's pretty much it. You have questions?
Getting back to reality, I worked 10 years for General Motors.
Excellent. Sister company.
Worked on the marine spill response team for the Coast Guard. Each time, we did everything right. We had everybody on board. We had the team building.
Yep.
Everything should make things
Yep.
done. It goes all the way up to the top.
Yep.
And some snotty-nosed guy at the very top who's making the biggest salary in the company
Yep.
will say no,
Yep.
because he got on the wrong side of the bed that day.
Sure.
Whatever. And I think that's something that everybody here should realize this happens.
Yeah. Is there a question, or are you just sharing? It's a wonderful thing to share because it does happen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Procter & Gamble is just miraculous and you don't have that.
No, we definitely have it. I mean, I've had 50% of the innovations we work on at times get killed on certain years, and I don't mean like killed. They're paused. Like, oh, well, it's not the right financial decision this year. So one of the things I find with a lot of the leadership is they have to make some pretty serious decisions. I mean, like I was telling you, one brand can be several $1 billion. One brand, several $1 billion. So with that in mind, someone's got to go to bed that night going, I made a call on a $3 billion brand. I mean, like what the Afghanistan is how much is their the national gross every year? It's just like it's about what like 2 or 3 of our brands are. It's really ridiculous. So huge headaches for some of these people, and there's a lot of stress. So I have a lot of empathy for that. Along the way, though, I do like to find the people that have to make these decisions and have them act more as a coach to the team. They usually, if you say, okay, we're going to present to you at the end of April, and it's March, we want to bring you in the room and we just want to show you the draft of what we have. Then they feel some ownership of it. They feel some ownership. And guess what? Name one person that wants to see something that they coached die. No one. No Little League coach goes, I hope we lose. I hope we lose. God, that other team looks awesome. No, we don't do that. When you helped it, you own it. It's part of you. And if you cancel it, you just cancel part of yourself. So that's one of the things that I've definitely seen. And asking that advice, and usually it's like, the presentation at the end, at like next month, it's going to be 3 hours long, but you ask them even for a half hour of their time. They're usually pretty happy to give it. So, yeah. That's an awesome question, though. And by the way, just by asking for coaching doesn't always work. It doesn't always, but it helps a lot. It has definitely helped. There is no foolproof way. Is there a question over here?
Yeah, how do you get over the intimidation of starting your own company, your own business or enterprise, and I know what kind of advice you have for that portion of your...
Okay, how do you get over like the intimidation of it?
Yeah, I find it
good. If you're not scared, you're foolish. You really, people that have small businesses will all tell you that. I mean, I really feel like if you aren't scared, you're not really thinking about it. So you shouldn't get over the intimidation of it. Like I said, there are people that are in my company and have secure jobs, and they're making these big $1 billion decisions. They're still intimidated. We all are. I feel like if you aren't, there's not a little fear in there. You're not thinking deeply enough about what you do. So my advice, especially if you're going to own it, stay scared, but channel it. Learn how to make it channel it into something good. Don't lose your hair over it, but channel it. You have a question in the back?
Yeah, after the dog economy thing, I have to ask, what's the most bizarre, or maybe that was the most bizarre, what was the most bizarre project you've ever worked on?
The most bizarre project. That probably is one of the most bizarre. We've had a bunch of odd ones. That's probably the only one I could tell you about. But yeah, because I guarantee you some of them are locked up in a vault somewhere. And they may come out 30 years from now and be like awesome ideas. And then you'll remember me here telling you like a dude that's like, oh, it was a stupid idea. I can't believe it. No. But that's probably one of those bizarre ones. Yeah.
So, kind of going off that, did that product actually work well?
Oh, technologically, it worked.
Okay.
Yeah. The dog condom, yes, it worked. It definitely worked. Yeah, that's kind of the amazing thing. You see some of the inventions, you're like, God. And that's what I mean. I made the joke as the Reverend that, technologists can make a satellite out of a plate of nachos. Some of the technologists I've met, I feel like they really could do that. It's just amazing. Really, really brilliant people. They think very differently. Like I said, they're really good at answering questions. They're not as good at asking them, and especially the ones that are about how people feel. So, does that answer your question? Good. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.